Welcome to 100 Gems podcast. It's Kaylah Hayes here, and we got Dr. Piles here. We waiting on Rob's return, but we excited to just talk about what we have going up and coming up here soon. We just wishing Rob a return to come back and join us on the podcast again here shortly. But it's frightening for me to think about how you can build success for yourself and for your family, and you become a millionaire, and then you have to worry about health issues. So I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about that and ask you, I know you have a history of discipline, working out, being in the military. So, what I want to know is how important and when did you figure out how important that was for you to, maintain your health?
Well, like you said, being in the military, you around healthy people. You're around the military is a young community, young family. So the majority of the people I hung around with were young, healthy. When I got out the military, I was about 33. And even dealing with the ministry, I could tell right away how I moved and the hospital. Like, I didn't know what a hospital was. I'm like 40 some years old in Milwaukee. I didn't know what a hospital was. They said, man, Freighter. I'd be going to the wrong hospital,
Right.
and it just wasn't, I didn't have that quote unquote compassion in a sense because I never grew up around, was around at 18. I went in the military. So for 15 years, I'm around young folks, healthy folk. If you caught diabetes, if you had certain high blood pressure, right, they would medically discharge you. You'd be discharged because you wasn't worldwide qualified
Right.
to go to Afghanistan, and you can't be there's no refrigerators in the jungle.
Right.
So that really was something that luckily working out, playing ball, doing the different activities. I always had a little issues with my knees and different things like that. But the health thing really hit me when I got older. See, when you're young, you feel like you're going to live forever.
Right.
Like, man, I'm invincible. I ain't worried about that. So then I remember, I can tell you the first thing that I remember. I went to the doctor, my VA doctor, and I always had a phobia with kidneys. Just some reason, dialysis, seeing the folks with the arms and all that. I always had a phobia about that. And I went to her, and I was about in my 40s, and I said, hey, doc, close to 40. And I said, look, I said, my back, my lower back bothered me, and I think maybe my kidneys or something, And she opened my chart up, and she said, well, I did notice something in your chart. So I said, oh, man. She said, she pulled a graph out. I actually got a couple of graphs in my office, and it had. She said when you first came here, when you was I think I was 34 by the time. Say you was 34. She said when you came here at 34, you was this weight.
Right.
I was at about 228, 225, 228. I was at 250 something. Now I was at 262, 3. Yeah. She said, son, ain't nothing wrong with your kidneys. We did the lab work, the last lab work. She says, your weight. I'm like, wow. Had knee problem, couldn't run like I used to run in the military. So I was with Debbie Allen, and we was coming from Chicago. In second wind, they have a machine called an octane elliptical. It's an elliptical, but it's called an octane elliptical. What it does is it adjusts your stride, and it don't really put that impact on my knees. And the guy told me, I said, man, I ain't paying that much money for no machine. And he said, how much is your health worth? So I got the machine, and man, it really helped me there, with the running and stuff, with the running because we never, as African Americans, we participated in main sports like football, basketball. I'm not saying that we're not getting into golf and different stuff, and we do, but majority, if it ain't those things, when those things are taken out of our life, we normally just stop.
Right.
So we got to make sure that we're doing that. I got buddies of mine that are 60 years old, still shooting ball, they're still doing things. So you have to keep that. But that was a scare to me because I started to see I wasn't immortal. I was I couldn't, I wasn't Superman.
Right.
My blood pressure, different things started to happen. So when I came to Milwaukee, I was a middle-aged man. I was a middle-aged, a young man.
Right.
And then as I started, my eating habits changed. The weight got on me. The weight started to affect the other things there. So when you start talking about high blood pressure, you start talking about the health issues and we first look at weight. So when they come to the big six, and that's why hopefully we're gonna have Rob in to Zoom in, even if he can't come in, hopefully he should be able to come in. But this is a standard. I mean, it's not like I put out a checklist when we talk about health. I put out a checklist. It's the same checklist I told you for everything. Right. So Rob, I knew Rob had high blood pressure. Right. He's sitting next to me. He on the podcast. We're going through the big six and we're talking about health and all that, right? The one thing that the second question we ask when a friend tell us, I got high blood pressure. I didn't ask Rob that second question because he walked when I say walk, he don't stop.
Right.
In his basement, he got his carpet is water. He walk and talk. He walk thousands and thousands and thousands of steps a day. He walk. He's walk. He walk. He done all. He doing his thing. So you assume. So when he had his aneurysm, the valve bust in his neck, 2 places, right over his heart and below that. Luckily, the brain kept going and flowing to his brain and all that. Just a miracle. Because this is not something somebody told me. Because some people will add to stuff and, oh man, the sky's falling. I talked to the doctor myself, and the words they used was, I didn't hear them words. I ain't heard them words since the military. Right. Doctor said it's grave. He said the mortality rate is high on this surgery. If we do the surgery tonight, we're gonna have to drop his temperature. I'm gonna freeze him and then thin his blood. That increases that low survival rate to even lower. Right. He probably won't make it. The doctor said that to us. Me and Jolanda was standing there with his wife, and that wasn't a wake-up call for me because I know how high blood pressure. But what was a wake-up call for me was, I'm like, man, what happened? What happened to my partner? What happened? So we're sitting out there waiting, and the doctor said the longer we can wait, the better it's going to be. Right. If it get worse, we're going to go straight into surgery. Yeah. So we're sitting there waiting, and this is the piece that really got me. And I was sitting out there in the waiting. We sitting in the room, the family room, and we're talking. I'm talking to his wife, and she said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah." If I met him, he wasn't even doing this. Taking his medication for high blood pressure and everything. And asked her, what was it? Now, matter of fact, she just tell her, she say, it'd be 200. 200? 200. I felt bad then because I broke protocol what we normally ask. I sit next to friends. We be cool and you think things straight. Their blood pressure is higher than their credit score. Right. Their blood pressure is high. And that's, and I'm saying that so it can catch your ear. What is, man, I'm working on my credit. What is it? What's the number? Well, I don't know. Then you really don't know. That's why the big six is so important, because it ain't the big six I'm talking about. If you take the big six, it's like a coat rack. Right. It's somewhere to hang stuff on. I ask the same question about the basement being, hey, I need my basement worked on. What you need with your basement worked on for? What's going on? Do you have any pictures? Ain't nothing like a picture. Right. When you're talking to someone and you're trying to get a picture, it's worth 1,000 words, they say. Right? When words can't describe it, send me a picture. I always say on the phone, well, guys, send me a picture. So, and I'm gonna tell you how this worked. I had a brother, we're in the men's fraternity next door. we're going through the health because we always talk about the same. It's the same scenario. We're going through the health of the men, and we bring in tests, and we do the different tests, and the majority of stuff is free, like prostate and all that stuff. Test, medication, high blood pressure, the medicine is free. We can figure it out. We're gonna get that. He said, man, my blood pressure since I've been he said since I hit 60, my doctor's been messing with me, man, trying to get me on medication, trying to get money and all this. And I'm like, what you mean by that? Oh, man, they talking about my blood pressure. I said, what is it? I don't know. But I said, hold on. Your doctor's telling you you got a high blood pressure problem. You don't remember the number? Oh, man, ain't that wrong? I said, hold on a minute. What's your number? I said, hold on a minute. We went in there because I keep a cup. Right. I put that cup on him. He was like 168, 170. I said, that doctor ain't messing with you, man. You got high blood pressure. Right. And he's kind of stubborn too. I say, hey, let's challenge then. You say you eat good. First of all, I'm gonna talk to your wife. Whenever you got people who sidestep, double talking, right. I eat good. I don't know, man. Let me talk to your wife. I don't eat but one, man. Hey, look, I talked to that wife. That wife said, what? They eat like a horse. Not him, but so he became aware of it, lost weight, man, blood pressure got in line. That's the goal. Right. And every time I see him, man, how's that blood? Boy, you're looking good. Now, if I see him weight gain, getting his weight on him, that's why we are called to be brothers and to call to be helpers. Right. I'm your helper to one another. Right. And this is where I had to be. Being McDonald's owner, I get it. At one time I was the largest African-American employee in the state. I had 20-something stores, 1,000-some employees. So I get it. I got it. And then you talk about the turnover rate. Right. So I get a lot of it. I get it times 1,000. So a lot of stuff I've been through it. And I had one of my young men that worked for me, loved him to death. And they called me and say he's in the hospital. They had to rush him. His kidney failed. I said, kidney failed? Kidney just don't fail. Right. They normally give you a sign. If you get shot in your kidneys, it'll, right. But just normally. So I rush to the hospital. We go to the hospital. I meet him then and say, hey, I'm talking to him. And I said, man, you didn't have no signs? He said, oh yeah, man, about 8 months ago, doctor told me if I didn't get my medication, I was going to probably go on dialysis. I said, what'd you do? He said, oh, I ain't had the money. And I had just helped him out doing some stuff before. And I'm like, I helped you with this part. That medication was a whole lot more important than what we did. Right. Your health. And I said, you do know they give you that free. Right. If you ain't got insurance, because they know it's gonna cost them more with dialysis when you get on disability and all that. That's free. Right. So that was a wake up call for me. Next wake up call, young guy. When I say young, strong, and I'm not exaggerating, model, been on a couple of commercials. Him and beautiful, strong. Did he even had a point that he did training and wouldn't take the medication. Then secondly, because I believe I can go holistic, like if one brother lost that weight, man, you're not gonna do that. You got to have friends. Friends got to be honest. Man, you're not gonna. Man, doctor told me if I do, man, you ain't gonna do that. You ain't gonna stop eating. You need to go work out. Right. You better add some workout and some other stuff because if you're gonna eat like that, you got to work out. You got to burn that off. So, and I'm not saying that, and then I did his funeral. I did his funeral. I'm talking about young. And it was kind of like a hereditary in this family too. So that even a more of a flag. So when I hear like high blood pressure, diabetes, when I'm sitting there looking, I'm telling you, man, I'm sitting there looking at sores. Yeah. Like, man, that don't hurt. Sores. Man, when you smell, I can smell, not like a stink smell of, man, your feet stinking. Yeah. No, your feet is dead. Now I'm telling you. So those are things where you say, what's the wake up? That's the wake up call. Right. So
And I feel like our audience is a wide spread of ages, and I'm glad you brought up those other examples. But I try to think of like planning my life and my future and everything when it comes to health, eating, all that stuff, like planting a tree. You're not gonna see the results right away, but I know like taking care of my health, it'll help me be here for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, like Sylvia, she moving around, running around because she been dancing all those years and stepping and moving. And you know, I think about my grandmother a lot because at the end of her life, she wasn't walking at all. And you know, if you don't use it, you lose it, right? But health is wealth. We know that's important, and I do want to just speak on the health and wealth event on April 29th. I know that's coming up. We got a lot of guest speakers coming to talk about, you know, diabetes, dementia, and a lot of other things like that. Is there anything you want to speak on with that?
Well, you say health is wealth. And if people, you can't even associate your my health with money in the sense of, you know, it's valuable because money, sometimes money can't buy.
Right.
Your health, you know, money can't buy health. So
what
it's two things I want to hit real fast. A statement a guy told me, he's an old guy too. If you see him, especially his body, he's 80 something. I swear he looked 58, 55.
Right.
He said, I don't want to, he decided a long time ago that he didn't want to, because sometimes we can get old, but he didn't want to be fighting to stay here.
Right.
That means taking all kind of pills and doing all kind of stuff and dialing. He said, so that's why he decided how he's going to eat.
Right.
Secondly, this is what we do in the Big Six, and it really brings it home. I asked a question. How old do you think you're going to live to be?
I say about 90. I want to live to 90
right,
comfortably.
So we write down 90, and we start there financially, health-wise. See, some people are living life. You can look at them and say, you must going to be planning on checking out by 50.
Right.
The way you eat, the way you're going.
Exactly.
You don't plan on being here. So if I plan on living a good life to 90, then things I'm doing has to look like that.
Right.
If I'm looking at retiring at 55 or 50 or whatever, then my habits and what I'm doing need to look like that. Some people spend money like they're going to work until the day before they die.
Right.
So you can't wait till you're 62 and start thinking about retiring.
Yeah.
Because Social Security, you know, we need to talk about that. How much money is Social Security? What if you ain't paid into it? So those are things that the conference that we're having. Listen, the conference on the 29th, guys, and I'm like y'all. I got things to do.
Right.
I got somewhere to be at. I don't have to do what we're doing. You don't have to do, and I don't have to do it because we got something to do. So those are the people that we say you need to be here. Why? Because we're gonna talk about when you talk about Alzheimer's, dementia now.
Right.
Man, I want to cry because I've had to be with my partners with when his mama would leave the house. He couldn't sleep. He didn't sleep for months trying to figure out the right health care, thinking he was crazy. And, you know, when you want to give up,
right?
You know, there are questions that people ask, and you had a conversation. Man, I'm serious. And I said, man, it's thoughts that come to your mind, not that you act on it. You know, you're like, man, how long can I do this? How long they gonna be around? I'm about to do this because dementia, Alzheimer's is at a rapid pace now. I believe that everybody that's probably listening been touched with this some way. So we got to figure out. I want all the education I can have. Is it the food? Is it what can we do to help curb it? So we're bringing in special expert. Now, when I talk about a subject, we do our homework. Listen, we do our homework. We don't talk about just my experiences. I don't be having what you call hypotheses and guessing. You know, we're not test markers, but we have experts that we consult, the banks, and we expert the doctors. We look at all that. It ain't big mama. We don't know what's in the mix. Right. So on the 29th, we want to have resources there that when you leave, you don't just feel good, you're gonna be better. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been to conference where before the conference is over, I done enacted some stuff while I'm sitting there.
Right.
So those are the things that I want to meet. And we could have had the Masterclass, and I pushed the Masterclass. I pushed out the Big Six, and we're going to start up next week. What date is that? Is it
18th.
Next Tuesday, the 18th? The 18th, we're going to start the Big Six back up. It's at 5:30 in the morning. And the reason I pushed it back because I wanted to just bring some things together, some resources together, more resources together.
Right.
And get it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like every coach has a coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you learn from somebody who's been there before, so you don't have to make those same mistakes. And I feel like that's why the Big Six is so valuable. Mm-hmm. And even with that, you know, just being surrounded by people who are like-minded, people who they have their own things going on, it's imperative for you to keep growing. Yeah. And they say, you know, everyone who's successful say the top 5 people who you hang around the most is you're getting influenced by them. You're the average of them. So, you know, the Big Six is important. Yeah. What would you say to people who are contemplating the investment?
And truly, I'm gonna be honest. Mm-hmm. The investment you're talking about, if you definitely to be in there. If you're contemplating $700, $600,
right,
you definitely to be there. Right. If it's a issue with having $600, you definitely to be there. You definitely to be there. See, sometimes you feel like, man, I can't afford it, or it ain't worth it. I had a young lady, y'all know her. She was even looking at this course. She found out it was the same thing. I want to say it was 5,000, so many thousand just the entry fee, and $4-5 a month. I don't quote me on that, but it was like in that range. And she was like, "Whoa!" And then she began to explain to them because she was trying to compare the difference.
Right.
And this is international stuff. What we're doing, it's international. Mm-hmm. The man told her, "Y'all already doing it," and they weren't offering.
Right.
They weren't offering a half of what we do.
Right.
And one thing about it is, man, I love it, and I'm getting better at it. Accessibility, to ask the question. You know, we got guys that's doing up to $5 million deals, right, down to $500 deals. I tell the church, I said, don't nobody make a move, right, over $500 unless you talk to somebody. Talk to me and talk to somebody, because, right, you know, that car you think you got a deal for $799, $8,000, but that's a $4,000 car, right? And we can't afford to. That person can't afford to do that, even though they do it. They can't afford to do that, right? So we have to make sure that if I ain't got but $5, I got to make that $5 work. If I got 50,000, I can lose $5. Yeah. You know what I mean? The whole $5. If I ain't got but $10, and I lose 20, right, I'm gonna stop asking your call. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why when people say, "Oh man, they can't afford it," I say, "Why?" Because some people can't afford things because, man, I just got hit, I just got divorced, you know, stuff happened. You have to look at all that. But most of the time, it's something I'm doing. Right. Why you broke relationally? Oh, you keep using those relationships up. It's sowing. Why are you financially broke? Oh, this is what you're doing. Because sometimes some people you have to push, some people you have to pull back.
Right.
The worst thing you can do is get that money too fast. I ain't say too fast, because ain't no such thing as getting money too fast. But get that money and let the money outrun your knowledge.
Right.
What that means is that I could be getting so much money and not have a structure. I'm not looking at how much I'm keeping.
Right.
You go to closing, man, I got a $100,000 check, but you spend $125 on the house.
Right. Loss.
Time and interest and all that. We have to sit down and evaluate. Big Six makes you extra question. It makes you evaluate not just what you've done, but sometimes look at what you put. I keep putting my family in this situation. I keep sitting here being in this situation. I got to get money at this rate. at a certain pivotal, I had to do this here. I had to go get the money, hard money. I had to do certain things. I had to put this up. It's nice to pay cash for it, but I got to get that car at 17% interest rate. Why? My credit bad, but I won't be here again. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna feel bad. Right. Man, I did what I had to do. Right. I did what I had to do, but you ain't gonna get me again. Right. I won't be back in line again. Next time I come, I'm gonna tell you what I want. And matter of fact, you ain't gonna set a car dealership ain't gonna set my loan up. I'm going to credit union. That's the kind of stuff little stuff like that, man. Mm-hmm. Say you 4-5% interest. Right. And the reason I'm talking like this, and there's people who do stuff every day that you do once a year, once every 5 years. They know they're gonna know more. They're gonna be more inquisitive. They're gonna be more in tune to what's going on. Mm-hmm. You know, I don't something I don't do. I could do. Mm-hmm. I ain't trying to learn everything about cars. Right. I got a car guy. Right. I picked the phone up. Hey man, look, what's the deal on this car here? Yeah. I ain't never listen, man. I'm 58 years old. I ain't never bought a car since I've been grown by myself. Mm-hmm. Never. Mm-hmm. Never. I always got somebody with me. Right. I always had somebody with me. Right. That know more than I know. Right. Right. And I can play with the radio because he looking at the invoice sheet. He looking at old Rick went down there, went with me to the thing and right. But the camera went on. But he went with me to a dealership and he was dealing with the guy at the dealership. And my daughter was there with us. She wanted the car. She busted out, started crying. Because he wasn't really beating him up. He was just asking questions. Man, this car here, man, this is a good car. And da-da. He said, well, it's a good car. Why ain't it sold? He said, you've been had it 7 months. He said, how you know that? He said, I can look at the sticker right there when you service it in. So those are things that we have to make sure that you got people who you can at least call. And you got to hit their hand too, because you know what I mean? People want to call you Oliver, and they never want to hit that hand. They never want to. That stuff, man, I ain't talking about paying you, but it's a seed. And then if that person does it for a living, you need to pay them. You know, I got a realtor. When I call her, ask question, right? I use her. She sells everything, right? Because when I need answers and resources, that's her livelihood. Right. This ain't no hobby. Yeah. Right? So when I call Darvin and ask Darvin a question, I tell the people, man, I'm not gonna call Darvin and ask him why. That's what he get paid to do. Right. You getting it for free. Mm-hmm. Get into the class. Right. Hey, that's why a guy calls, hey man, I need to put this cash in the bank. Mm-hmm. I have a credit card and I can't pull so much off. Right. What can I do? God would say, do this. Boom. Mm-hmm. You know, they'll pay that person a percent to do that, right. But they don't feel the knowledge. Knowledge is wow. Mm-hmm. I can go buy a hammer, but where to hit it at where to hit that thing at the right spot, is what the knowledge. Absolutely. So the 29th, I know there's a lot of resource centers, resources going around. What's going to be different, man, is we're going to have people talk about all, and I said, listen, there's a lot of things we can talk about, but I believe that those are the things that's, man, weighing on our community.
Absolutely.
I really can't. This is something that I can impact in my life. I'm not dealing with certain things. Right. Some of the shooting, some of the, it affects us some way. But when I say impact right away, my health, dementia, Alzheimer's, I promise you this. I want to leave there. I want to leave there with the knowledge and a packet. Right. So when one of the members, friends, or whatever come to me, I can say, here's a resource. Here's what you're going to do. What makes it comfortable for me, man, is that I ain't crazy. And some of the things that happen in our life, when you say a person done it already, it's a part of life.
Absolutely.
Tenants calling your phone, it's a part of life.
Right.
If I ain't got nobody to get them calls and handle that, you better get them calls. You better be able to reach. You better get the information. Why? Right. Because if your basement flooded and you don't get that on Monday, they don't care. Yeah. And if they do care, if you don't care, they ain't gonna care. So it's certain things you have to be accessible until you get somebody else accessible.
Right.
But you got to answer that call. McDonald's, they called me up. Man, you answer your phone. You know why I answer my phone like that? Because if something going on in that store and you don't answer that phone, well, I called you.
Right.
What? We got robbed last night? They did what? So those are the kind of stuff that you have to have somebody there.
Right.
If you ain't got nobody there, then you got to be there until you can hire, train, and get them up. So this is what the wisdom that you get. So when they leave on the 29th of April this month, I want them to leave. I want the people to leave like, I like talking about you can have 4, 2, 4, 5 sisters and brothers. They ain't wired that way. Right. They're not gonna sit there with mama.
Right.
And luckily God has put different temperaments and different patience and different this. Right. But you're going to do something. Exactly. You're going to get better at that. But naturally, there are people who are sick with you in the hospital by the bed. I'm not one of them.
Right. You can't.
I can't.
It's not that you don't want to.
I can't. I can sit there with them. Right? But when they need other things, God has wired me in other ways to do it. I can sit there.
Right.
Yeah, I can do it. I can do nothing. But what I'm saying is that I have to know what my role is.
Right.
Purpose is when it's serving other people. When I'm walking in purpose, it's the gift that God gave me to serve other people.
Right.
It's a lot of things that I can do, right? But there's some things that I need to do. These are things that God wired me to do. So those are. I'm the business pastor. I'm the business pastor. I had to get comfortable with that. You know what I mean? Bishop Warren, he had that apostolic call. He fast. You talking about fasting, man? Every time he consecrate, and I fast and I consecrate, but that's not top. That's not top of my list.
Right.
You follow me?
Right.
So I have to know God has called me to help the kingdom in this area here. I get better at that. They get added in my life, and we grow from that. So Big Six comes into your life to help you put things in perspective, help you help others, and ask those questions. And you have to be comfortable too, Kaylah, because some things people are private. Your blood pressure score, my weight, women are different. Pastor, like you gained a little weight there. We need to say that. Right. And that's out of love. Hey, man, because every 5 pounds I lose, man, my whole, everything changes. So we have to be on each other. I don't want to compare, we say health and wealth, but man, the health part, when I feel good and get up in the morning, because of Rob couldn't have got up, man, what happens? And I think he sees that, man, like, how we set our business up. If something happened to me, I would think that if Betty wanted to go on, if the family, I want to have it set for that. And it's things that we are juggling and stuff we got in our life, man, you got to stop that. You got to have stuff, man, in order. Right. You got to have things written down. You got to have, they got to know what everything is. She got to know the combination to say. She got to know everything. So that's what we're doing. Even the Big Six is, you're leaving a trail so somebody can follow. Right. Oh, man, you can do it, man, you good. Michael Jordan could jump. I watched every game almost Michael Jordan played in, but I can't dunk. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's another episode of 100 Gems Podcast. I hope y'all tune in. YouTube, Facebook, and, we'll see y'all next time.
All right. Peace out. Rob, 100 Gems.